African continent has become a continent of crying babies, a continent of whiners. We are always complaining. We are always blaming others for problems facing Africa. We are always whining a lot. Instead of discussing on how to solve our problems, we are blaming Western countries for problems facing Africa. Problems facing Africa are caused by Africans themselves, are caused by African leaders who don't have interest of Africa in their own hearts. So whenever our leaders meet in African Union Summit, instead of taking that opportunity to discuss about the problems facing Africa, to discuss about economical issues in Africa, discuss about technology, discuss about political issues in Africa, on how to form one economic bloc in Africa, they use that opportunity to complain, to whine, to blame others for problems that we are facing in Africa. Western countries will never come to Africa to develop Africa. Europe will never come to Africa to develop Africa. Whatever they do it for the interest of their own people. Even China in Africa. They are not in Africa to develop Africa. Whatever they are doing in Africa, they are doing it for the interest of their own people. Whenever China builds us a piece of road, a piece of railway, a piece of building, they take our natural resources to their people. So they do anything that they do in Africa, they are doing it for the interest of their people. So instead of blaming others for our own problems, the question we are supposed to ask ourselves, what are we doing to develop ourselves? To make African continent better? Most countries in Africa got their independence almost 50 years ago. The white man went from Africa 50 years ago. So since the white man left, what have you done to your country? They didn't take the natural resources. They didn't take land. For example, Zimbabwe, where President Mugabe has been a president for 35 years, whereby all young people in that country have only known one president in their whole life, as he destroyed Zimbabwe. He has not made Zimbabwe better. The white people, the white settlers, they didn't take land. But the Machoto people of Zimbabwe goes to bed without food. Mugabe has been in power for so long. It's now about 100 years. And he's still in power. He wants to die in power. And when he dies, he wants to hand over power to his wife. And those are the kind of leaders I see Machoto people want to emulate. Now Mugabe has become a hero to many people because he had the audacity, he had the courage to stand up, to insult Western countries, to insult the United Nations. Because he can stand up and abuse other people. When he says that these white people with long noses, why are you becoming disrespectful while addressing problems facing Africa? You know, the whole planet now, we have become a global society. Every continent now is a neighborhood. Every country is a neighborhood. Africa, we cannot live in exclusion. We cannot live in isolation. We have to know how to cooperate with each other to develop Africa. Okay, we ran away from Western countries because we thought they are exploiting Africa and we went to China. What's the difference between China and the Western countries? What they are doing is all the same. The difference is the time. These ones are coming with a different strategy, and the white man came with a different strategy. There's no difference at all. In Zimbabwe, the national currency now, Chinese yuan. We cannot talk about economy in Zimbabwe. It's so down. Inflation is so high. And then you have such a leader to stand before us to tell us, someone who doesn't have morals can stand to tell people, to lecture people about morals? Someone who doesn't want to hand over power to anybody else? That person can stand before us to tell something we can be able to listen.